Welcome back to Beauty Marks Podcast, a space where we embrace marks acquired through our journey. My name is Elizabeth Savion, and welcome back to another episode. I am very excited because you know what? It's pretty much Christmas already. It's November this week, and I just can't believe it. Like, we are here already towards literally 2 months, just this month and next month, and then we'll be in 2022. And I feel like low key, I'm still recovering from 2020. I don't know who's with me with that one, but I am very excited that we are finally here. And, Mariah Carey is defrosting and Michael Bublé is as well. And a lot of exciting things happening. Just little life update before we get started is this week is my sister's baby shower. She's already 7 months. And so our little princess is coming early next year. And so I will be an aunt to a little girl. So I'm very, very excited about that. And so we're celebrating her in June. And it's just a lot of emotions because it's just unbelievable that it's like happening. And you'll probably hear this more as it gets closer. I feel like I'm going to be like, I can't believe she's here. I am shocked. But also this month we are celebrating my parents' 30th anniversary and we're doing a vow renewal. And we've been planning this for a few months now, and I have been leading the whole planning committee. And so it's been a lot to do. Check on your strong friends. LOL, that's me, because it has been a lot. But it's been so exciting to see them celebrating, like them super excited about it. And it's all just coming together. Like, we booked the flowers, we have like the seating arrangements, we have like everything, like the DJ, the photographer, everything's already set. It's just pretty much just showing up now that day, and the rehearsal and everything like that. So it's really exciting. I'm living through this experience because it's just I'm getting to also know how the whole wedding side works, which I really never knew how expensive it can be truly. And so, just thinking about that, like I might do a destination wedding. I don't know if I want to get married and spend 30 or 40K. Like, I don't know, but we'll see. So the high of the week, I would say, was I got a few new clients for my marketing business, which literally came by just a reference. And that's a lot of my business comes from referrals. And I felt like literally like just God like had, like I just feel like God is like taking care of it. And if I ever like don't know how something is going to come up, it's like God literally provides and he like shows up. And so that was really exciting, working with these new clients. And then a low of the week was, I think, since I opened up about like this past month, back to back about mental health and then like codependency and trauma and toxic relationships, I feel like talking about it and like processing it, also like when you think about it a lot, you like, for me at least, it starts like kind of making me feel like in the moment and kind of start reminiscing on stuff. And just so I felt a little sad, and just kind of like dealing with those emotions. So I think talking about it, it just like makes you realize like, wow, like I was in that, or I like have processed this. And it also makes you see how much you've grown and how much um, you're different now, considering like all that, you've experienced. But yeah. And then I feel like also other people commenting or like saying stuff or writing me in DM, telling me like their experience, like, just like, it's like a full circle because it's like, I'm helping people go through something that I felt traumatic that I went through, so like now I'm able to like talk to people and help them and just encourage them when I'm still in my journey of healing. But I know that I'm not where I was like a year ago, in that, so it's just all of that is kind of just bringing up some emotions. And so I wanted to talk today about healing because it really everybody's time is so different. And today's title of Healing Times May Vary is so real because when someone is trying to help you or comfort you, they don't understand the process that you have to go through, and everybody's process is different. And I think that when people are giving you advice, if you have gone through a loss, like if you lost your job, if you lost a family member, if you're going through a breakup, if you went through the pandemic last year, like people have different ways that they cope and different kind of quote unquote encouragement that they tell you and they tell themselves to make them feel better. And everyone's process is so different because we're all individually just so different and we process things differently. We have different traumas, we have different ways of viewing life. So I wanted to talk about this because it is a process and every situation is so different. So I first want to talk about breakup healing because I've talked about this a lot with my friends and they know that I think because I have experienced breakups in the way that I have, and just like through toxic relationships, long-term relationships, like I feel like yes, I think breakups at the end of the day, they all kind of have a common theme, but I feel like everybody's process to a breakup is so different. Like people give you advice, like, show them what they lost, lose weight so that they see, like you're pretty much doing it for the ex to see you and like show up a certain way, like, dye your hair, like show them that you're happy, like post on Instagram all the time, like post thirst traps, just move on and start dating someone else. Like, hey, they did it. So like, just move on, like just start dating. Or hey, call them out and let them know, like, if you see them on the street, like curse them out or do a show, like people give you such different advice based on their personalities and like how they process it. And I feel like this is my perspective. I feel like healing, I have come to learn this because the old me would be posting a lot, after a breakup, would want to show up wherever they were and let them know what they were missing out on, like looking all cute, like make sure that they see me, and prove that I'm doing good. Like, so if like the breakup happened last week, I'm like, oh, there's this event, I'm going to go there. I know he's going to be there just so that he knows that he didn't break me. Like that was my mentality, like to prove something. But the new me, where I'm at right now, is that I feel like I've come to understand that healing is about you, not them. So if someone has hurt you and you are trying to heal and get better and work on that, it is about focusing on you. What is the best thing for you? What is right for you? Not to suppress or not to show someone what they lost or that they haven't hurt you. Like, I don't care about you, so I'm going to act like if I'm not hurt. Like that doesn't do anything for the situation. And I feel like the new me is I've learned to leave in silence and to ignore, not respond, block, and disconnect from something that is hurting me. And I feel like that has been the best thing for me to heal, So it took me a long time to get here. So I'm not going to say it's easy because I feel like you always, especially when someone hurt you, you always want to like let them know. Like, you want to send those long texts that are paragraphs that they don't even read. And you want to let them know, send them screenshots and send them voice notes on letting them know and call them and say whatever. But the reality is that that's not going to help you heal at all. Like anger is first the easiest emotion. When something happens, anger is the first emotion to experience. But that can help you for a little bit, like that anger emotion, that you feel can help you for a little bit. But then after that, you have to get to the deeper emotions like sadness and just feeling disappointed and feeling rejected and feeling these other emotions underlying that are part of the grieving process in general. So knowing to control your emotions and knowing to control how you react is so important, especially through the healing journey. Because when I look back at, I consider myself as like an old version of me or just an unhealed in some things. It's like I feel like I was definitely very reactive. And it was because I was very hurt, but it was also because I thought that that was the way that I would, like, I wouldn't want the other person to get away with it, when in reality now, it could also be age. I just kind of am like, okay, like, it is what it is. Like, what can I say to make it better? Like, even if they say sorry, like, would that make everything go away? No. So it's like the healing journey is literally about you. So focusing what's best for you. So if not seeing that person or not receiving their messages or not stalking them on Instagram helps you to feel better and to get better, then do that. It's not about proving anything to anyone. If it's a loss or a grief, like if you lost your parent or if you lost someone that you love, that's a whole process of grief that you have to go through. And sometimes people that haven't been through it, they don't know, it's an uncomfortable, like, what do I say for this person? But that's a grief journey that is not the day that that person passes away. It's supporting them through after, the months after, the years after. I spoke to my brother-in-law about this, that it's sad but true. It's like when someone passes away, everybody's there like the first like 2 weeks, and you feel supported in the moment, but what really is the issue, or like when it really hurts, is like a few months down the line. It's on their birthdays, it's on anniversaries, special occasions, holidays, like when time passes on the everyday, that's when people mourn, and so you want to show up for them there too if you can, just like send them a text and be like, hey, just thinking about you, want to let you know that I love you and I care about you, and how are you feeling today? So it's helping people through the process. So let's talk about timelines. And and the healing times may vary. Everyone is different when they're going through the process. I saw this TikTok the other day, and I really love TikTok. It's just so funny to me, but it's so relatable. And it was talking about, psychologists say that it takes like 16 to 18 months to get over, a heartbreak. And then this girl like responds to it and she's like, what? So you're telling me I'm going to have to feel like this for another 16 to 18 months? Like, this is crazy. It's real when you're going through that. You're like, when am I going to not feel this bad? Like, when am I not going to feel this pain? Like, I don't want to feel this anymore. But it's different for everyone. Like, I feel like if you've been in a 3-month relationship versus a 1 year versus a 2 years versus a 10-year, like, can you really say that the healing process is going to be the same? No, I feel like some people use other people to move on fast. I personally, my belief in that is that I feel like when you get out of a relationship, if you jump into another one, you're just using people to fill a void in you because you don't know how to process those emotions. And you're just people hopping. But there's also other people that, like, do take the time. Like, for me personally, if I get out of a relationship, the last thing I'm thinking about is, let me go on a date or let me go look for someone else. Like, no, like, I need to detox. Like, I need to just not feel these feelings and, not have to deal with any relationship drama. So I feel like for me, usually my route has been that I go into like the pain right away. And I process it through, going to counseling, reading, talking to my friends, like listening to a lot of podcasts or, people that are experts in whatever I'm going through. So that has been my way of coping. And I feel like it has helped me because I feel the pain, which is super uncomfortable. But like when I have experienced, heartbreak, like even like in high school, I know that I took the time to actually like, be single for some time, to not be going on dates and not being like, I just feel like because I had tried it before, that I like had like a quote unquote rebound. And I knew at the end of the day how that terrible that made me feel. Like that for me wasn't the way. Like I figured that out real quick. I'm like, no, I literally feel terrible. This makes me feel worse than me not being with anybody. So I feel like you just have to really know yourself and figure out what that looks like for you. I think that, yes, if you have had a breakup that happened, and 5, 10, 15 years down the road, you still like that's still a very triggering thing for you. Maybe that's something to look at. Maybe you haven't healed from it. Maybe you still either have some hope or maybe have some unresolved grief or issues that you haven't dealt with. And that's something to look at. And it's because that those things start affecting your relationships to come, and that starts affecting you in your day-to-day life. um, when it comes to grief or loss of a loved one, you know, I know when I lost my friend, her mom, like I cannot even imagine what she is experiencing. And I would never have the heart to tell her, like, oh, you should get over it. Like, it's been this amount of time. Like, who am I to ever say that? And I know for sure she's going to carry that for years. And I know now compared to when it first happened, and it's been some time, that I feel like I see that it's like she just figures out how to manage it for her day-to-day life, but I think that if when you know that you've processed it, I think it's when you can talk about it a little differently. That's why a lot of people say that like telling your story, healed versus not, is in the way that you say it. So you tell the story different when you're actually healed. But I think that working it through with either a counselor or a friend and letting people into those spaces when you're grieving is very important. So do what is best for you. You're going to have people that suggest and tell you, like, you should be over it by now. But I think that unless they've experienced that, or unless you aren't fully working on that. So, like, if you're working on it and you're like, okay, but I'm intentionally doing these things, you know that you're going to get better. But if you're also not processing it, like you're just completely putting it in a box and not processing it, I'm telling you, it's not going to go away. So, this podcast episode, I wanted to talk about, how it works when you're healing, but also how you can be a support to someone that is healing, is grieving, and they're healing, because here's when it comes into toxic positivity, which I don't know if you guys know what that is, but overall, it's someone's trying to avoid emotional conversations. So they try to minimize or invalidate someone else's feelings. So usually it comes from someone that means well, but they feel uncomfortable with what's happening, like with the negative emotions. So at the end of the day, instead of connecting with the person to actually make them feel better, they actually disconnect with the person, and the person actually feels worse. So you probably hear people say, everything happens for a reason. It's the most cliche thing. But, like, even though, yes, it has some type of truth, and some people might say, but when someone's grieving, going through a breakup, has a loss of a job or loss of a loved one, that is not the best time to let them know that everything happens for a reason. It's like, no, actually, I still want my friend. Like, why would that person not be here anymore? Like, my dad passed away. Like, why? How is that for a reason when I don't have that person? Or the breakup, how it all worked out. Like, so those, I would say, these are the things to avoid saying, because you don't know how that person is going to process it, and that's not supporting them. Another one is be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. Don't be ungrateful, because things could be worse. Just stay positive. Like, it's going to help you, like, just staying positive. Look at the bright side. At least this didn't happen, or at least it's not a divorce. Like, I've heard that in a breakup. Like, at least you don't have kids, or at least you don't have, like, okay, yes, I know, but it still freaking hurts, and it feels like a divorce. Even though I haven't experienced one, it feels like a very devastating breakup. Like, this sucks. So it's like, you don't, like, even though those things might, again, some of them might be true logically, like if you like analyze the situation, but in the moment of someone's pain or when they're expressing to you something, avoid these things. Avoid saying it could be worse. Look at the bright side, be grateful, good vibes only. You know what? Like you're feeling sad today. So, like, let's just forget about everything and let's just go out. Even though sometimes you think that by completely distracting the person might be best, but you always want to make sure that that person, like, what if they just literally wanted to cry that day? Like, what if they're like, honestly, what I want is like just company. Like, can you just come over and like hang out and maybe we can watch a movie instead of being like, no, like, go get ready, go do all this sort of stuff. Like, and you're completely like not letting them process the emotions. So instead, my suggestion would be saying things like if someone expresses something that they're grieving through or working through or healing through they just experienced, make sure to let them know, like, I'm so sorry that you're experiencing that. Like, that must be really tough. What does that do? That validates that person's feelings. That says, wow, that is tough. I'm so sorry. Another thing you can say is, what can I do to support you? So, wow, that is very tough what you're going through. What can I do? What do you need from me to support you through this? I heard this the other day that said, never tell someone, just let me know what you need. Like, just let me know I'm here. Just like, let me know. Sometimes people don't know how to let you know. So the best way is honestly to ask them, like, how can I, like, what do you need from me? Do you need me to call to check in? Do you need me to show up? Do you need food? Have you ate today? Like, do you need just a hug? Like you have to be more specific on those things. And yes, this takes a lot because it's like you stepping out and actually truly being intentional with the care for those that you love. Another thing is saying, it's okay to cry and be sad. So you're validating. So if the person in front of you, and I know some people feel very uncomfortable when other people cry or like they don't know what to do with themselves. So it's just sometimes it's being silent, being quiet, and just hugging them or just being there. Or maybe also you validating, like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, it's okay to cry and be sad right now. Do you want a hug, or just in silence? Like, I feel like we have to work through those uncomfortable feelings, especially if you're trying to be there for someone that you love. Another one is asking someone, do you want to talk more about it? Some people like, I feel like some people just don't know how to get like a little bit deeper. Like if someone shares something, even if a stranger, this is just me though, like even if a stranger that I don't really know was to share something in a public table, or if I was at work and this person says like, oh yeah, like my dad has cancer, or someone says, like me and my significant other got in a really, really bad fight last night. And so it comes out of their mouth. So they say it or they share that. Me personally, I would follow up with, I'm so sorry. Like, are you okay? Or like, I'm so sorry to hear that. Instead of just like moving on to something else and like completely disregarding what they just said. Because those are moments, or even following up after the meeting or after later with that person and texting them like, hey, just thought about you. How are you doing? Like, are you doing okay? That's just being thoughtful. And I feel like, especially with people, people say like, we should always be kind and we should always be that. But those are little moments that happen in life that you can be a blessing for someone else, that you can show up for someone else in their time of need. Because how many of us wouldn't love to be heard or seen, or just when we're going through a tough time, just someone be like, hey, like I'm here for you. I thought about you today. Hey, here's a coffee. Like as small as those little things can be, it's like someone reminding you like you're not alone in this. That's to support a friend. But if you, let's say, are in the healing part of the journey, the grieving part, I just want to encourage you to know that, it's a process that you have to go through and you have to feel the emotions, the uncomfortable emotions. I remember dates so specifically, like, so like of when it was the anniversary of my grandpa that passed away, my dog that passed away, my childhood dog. And just like from breakups, like times that we would like celebrate things and the holidays coming up. Like I just remember all those dates and I feel those days. Like it's not like if they're just I forget them. No, like I literally remember dates very, very well. And so I think that I have to remind myself, and so I'm reminding someone here today that it's like you have to feel those emotions and those emotions are okay to feel. Journal and talk to someone, let someone know how you're feeling, or going for a walk. Yesterday I was kind of like in my feels too. So like I let my friend know and I like just journaled and I, ate my favorite food and watched my favorite show and, like did that to kind of process. And I was like, I feel this way. Okay. But like, it's okay to feel this way. And I feel like how you are healing is that you process things differently. So when old triggers come up of things that usually would hurt you, I feel like you just don't either take it personally. It doesn't like spark this like emotion, like a strong emotion of either anger or hate or even sadness. Like there's certain things that you can be like, wow, like before, like that would hurt me so much if I saw that. But now, like, I feel like much better about this. Another way is how you handle things differently. So, maybe before you would react, and now you didn't, someone says something rude to you. And instead of, feeling super sad and be like, oh my God, like you just either don't react or tell that or set a boundary with that person. And you're like, if you're going to speak to me like that, I'm not going to have this conversation. And you walk away. And like, I feel like you're getting your power back through those little things. And you're realizing like, wow, like I'm not like, this isn't taking over me anymore. Like I'm healing, like I'm working through it, and not completely to the point, but I feel like you're healing throughout your life though. So it's just like little things come up, but it's at different levels that you're experiencing the healing, at least through my journey of healing of certain things. Like I feel like you have compassion and because you also start seeing people differently and knowing that it wasn't intentional to hurt you. And even if it was, that is not a reflection of you or what you deserve. And I feel like it just sets you free when you like let people like just wish people the best for whatever is going to happen in their life, And so all emotions though are completely valid. And I told this to my friend the other day. I was like, girl, like if you feel anger, rage, like because of someone that really offended you, like it is completely normal. It's a human emotion. So like stop suppressing your human emotions. Like you don't have to be like, oh, wish them so well. Like I just want them to blossom and like all this stuff that in reality, like if anybody experiences that, it's a normal emotion to feel rage and anger and just like feel super like disgusted or disappointed, So it's like those emotions are normal. We are made with emotions, but I feel like as through the grieving process and healing, you get to the place of having just more peace about it. So I just want to encourage you to know that you got this. Take it one day at a time. You're here, you're making it through, another day. And so just know that you're supported, you're loved, and you're not alone. I also have a few Q&A questions left that I do with my therapist about anxiety and postpartum depression. So I will be playing these here. All right, next question is how to cope with anxiety. First, anxiety. Can you talk a little bit about what it really is? I know there's like diagnosed too. So like, can you talk a little bit about anxiety and then how to cope?
There's a difference between dealing with stress and dealing with anxiety. Stress is normal. You're going to have stress. If you're doing a presentation and you're a little bit like everyone's saying, oh, I'm so anxious about this presentation, and that is stress. That's a normal that we all have to learn how to deal with. Anxiety, when it becomes to the level of anxiety, you're not sleeping. You are having maybe even panic attacks. There's physical things that are going on. Your heart is beating. You are unable, you freeze. There's a whole list of other things that happen. Some people have social anxieties. The minute you have to stand up and speak, you will notice that they become immobilized. They can't speak. So anxiety is a really, really very difficult thing to handle just on your own. So what do you have to do? One is I would recommend going to the doctor and getting at least an assessment to see where your anxiety is at, and you may need medication for a little while. And let me explain. You can be anxious so often that your whole nervous system now is used to anxiety and it doesn't know how to turn it off. So basically, you have just rewired your whole system to always be on high alert. And sometimes you need medication for a little while you're doing therapy. You need to go to therapy for anxiety because you need to process this fear base. Where is this coming from? So in the meanwhile, get a workbook. Start educating yourself on anxiety. Go through the workbook, and they sell them everywhere on anxiety, and begin to get yourself educated. Let me understand what's going on with me.
So becoming self-aware.
Yes.
And then doing the work for it.
Doing the work.
And are there practical other things that they can do that might help on the day-to-day basis?
The anxiety, again, a whole lot of self-care, understanding what your triggers are, making sure that as you figure out what your triggers are, you learn and you get tools on how to handle that.
Yeah, those for me at least included like breathing, working out, journaling, a lot of more. I did take medication for some time on it too, so it helps. And then more of like finding ways that, like, once you become aware of the triggers, it's trying to cope with them or maybe avoid them if someone's triggering you directly.
Do you find out now that you have all those tools that when it starts revving up, that you kind of step back a little bit and kind of say, okay, what's going on?
Yes. It's especially if it's like 2 days, like when I start feeling off, I'm like, what's happening? Like, what am I doing? So it doesn't stop it from coming. Same with like depression too. I feel like if you have like the cycles, and I know you've explained that to me, like when you're someone that has like cycles of certain things, you have to become so aware that it's not that it's never going to happen again. It's just that you know now with the tools what to do or how to help going through that.
Yes. And you don't stay there. You don't stay anxious for 4 or 5 days. You're like, no. All of this is about learning tools to self-manage, to self-regulate. So I can be anxious for 2 days because something really happened or whatever. And it's like, okay, what's going on? Or I haven't taken care of myself. Or, I worked 80 hours. Now I feel all this anxiety. Why am I feeling all this anxiety? Well, hello, you have really triggered. So you have to pay attention to it.
So the last question is how to cope with postpartum depression.
Okay. Postpartum depression can hit you anywhere from 30 days after you have the baby up to 6 months. So you want to watch it. We really watch it for the first couple months. And there's a test for it. So it's available to everybody. It's called the Edinburgh postnatal depression scale. And it tells you where you're at on the scale. Postpartum depression can last a long time if it's untreated. And some of it can get so bad where the mother struggles to bond with the baby, or in other situations, the mother's bonding with the baby, but she feels sad all the time, doesn't want to talk to anybody, feels overwhelmed. A lot of times with medication, you get out of it like pretty quick. And you don't have to be on medication forever. It just jumpstarts your system. Because many times it's just that whole hormonal imbalance. If you have a predisposition to depression even before, then you have to watch it. But basically, you want to let your OBGYN know that you are struggling with depression. You need to go into counseling. Your therapist should also be guiding you. And if you need to get some meds for a little while, And I know this is scary because many times you're breastfeeding and you don't want to take anything, but you got to be a healthy mom. That's the priority. That is definitely always the priority. So yes, those are all the steps that you need to do, and you need to do it as soon as you can.
How do you find out that you have it? Like, so what exactly starts happening?
You start to feel really sad. You like, you can't get out of it. And you're like, well, what is going on? Staying in bed all the time. You feel like you can't get back to your normal self. It can get really bad for some women, really, really bad. And then you feel like, man, I'm a terrible mother. I had a baby. I should be so happy. No, you're caught off guard. So the recovery is very good if you do the work. It's a high recovery. When you don't do the work, it can last a really long time.
Well, thank you, Maria, for your tips on this session of Advice from a Therapist.
You are most welcome.
Thank you again so much for all your support. As always, thank you for your feedback, for just your words and your non-word, just you downloading an episode or following and subscribing means so much to me. And if you haven't left a review, make sure to let me know which episode you love, what you're loving about this podcast, and even any topic suggestions. I would love to know what you guys really want to hear more of. So thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great one.